Welcome to Our Neighbors 2021, which is part of my Made in India podcast where I'm featuring incredible indie music from Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. This video series is an opportunity for me to chat to the musicians who've made the music on the show. So, Our Neighbors actually started last year when India was having border disputes with countries that were, well, our neighbors. And it really messes with your brain when politics divides us and dictates what we mean to one another. So I wanted to represent compassion and camaraderie by fangirling over really awesome music. In this video, I'm going to be talking to singer-songwriter and festival director and ethnomusicologist Natasha Noorani, who hails from Lahore. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you on, to at least have a chance to, as best as we can call this face-to-face, we're calling it face-to-face.
It's the 2021 version of face-to-face.
I know. It's honestly, I find it slightly depressing. I like touching people. Maybe it's just me.
I'm okay being distant from people. This is ideal for me.
Like, people, please don't touch me. Please, scared.
Yeah, stay far.
So, you know what? Husein, who's, Made in India's producer, as you had met him a little earlier, but he has done a 5-page thesis on you. He was putting together some research. Yeah. And literally, there is, I got, your whole, CV of accomplishments, project manager at MHL Global, Pakistan's largest independent advertising company. You were part of a 3-day conference in 2016 called Peace Tech Exchange Karachi and marketing exec at
deep dive into my LinkedIn, basically. Love it.
It was amazing. And I'm like, this is nonstop. You're 2017, she was one of the youngest first general managers of Coke Studio in Pakistan, and UNESCO's creative entrepreneur and consultant for British Council Pakistan. I'm like, girl, you are winning at life.
Love to hear this. Thank you for the validation. This is really helping.
That's a lot. Do you have time to comb your hair and stuff like that?
It's scheduled in. I have to pencil in hair combing time, but it works out. I managed to make some time. It's a lot, but it's also not that much also to me because there's so much more to do. I don't know if I have issues. I don't know if these counts as being a workaholic, whatever it is.
Overachiever,
but
teacher's pet.
What else? Teacher's pet, no. I think this is me making up for the fact that I basically flunked my way through school.
Seriously?
So it's okay. The first chapter was terrible. Maybe the second chapter can be okay.
This is the 48th chapter, man. Because genuinely, this is amazing to me because it's a lot. And so you're in this space where you're I'm not doing enough. And I'm in a space where I'm I'm doing too much. Right now, in my mind, I'm constantly I literally had this conversation with a friend of mine where I was you know what I want to do? I want to go on a vacay. And my friend's you take 2 days off. And I'm no. I'll be sitting on a boat, sipping cocktails and eating a fruit plate. That's vacation I want. 2 days in my house.
Of nothing. Yeah, exact. Staycations don't count. I mean, I also would not mind a vacation. I've forgotten what those feel like, but I guess it's also I guess I'm worried about losing momentum because then I get really lazy. If I'm not doing anything, then I'm don't talk to me. I will not change my out of my pajamas for 5 days. So I need to keep a bit of momentum going. Otherwise, it's fine.
That's true. Okay. I understand that too because I feel I get these moments where I feel I've forgotten something. You forgot your keys. It's you've forgotten to work. This is something's wrong here. I'm enjoying myself too much. Is that a thing? I don't know. But I have to say your CV is amazing. And this isn't even the first time we featured your music on Our Neighbors. Last year, you were in the OG version of Our Neighbors, which was so awesome. And that was with you and Zahra Paracha. You guys are part of this amazing duo called Biryani Brothers, which was awesome. And we featured your pop song, Sab Theek Ho Jayega, which honestly, I feel like is so relevant, I think, in the times that we're currently living in.
We didn't realize that it would work this much. We didn't plan for a pandemic to happen. So it's always nice to see things like last through a pandemic. I mean, that just shows you it's decent art at the very least.
Exactly. It's resonating with the people. So
all the Awam, all of it.
So I am particularly excited because like today we're talking about the song that's featuring on Our Neighbors this year, 2021, and you have a new single that released called Choro.
Yeah.
And does that mean like let go? Is that what that means?
Yeah.
So from Sab Theek Ho Jayega to just let go.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about the song?
Sure. This is the song. This is the first single of my upcoming album. The album is called Ronaq, which in itself basically means excite. I mean, it wouldn't mean excitement, but we'll get into that when the album's out. But Choro itself is a song about losing someone and kind of the trying to get out of a toxic space where neither person is really being kind to the other, even though you have the best of intentions. You just kind of get stuck in this rut where everyone's just terrible for each other and to each other. So I think the song is about the back and forth and that oscillation between wanting to fix things and then realizing that there's no way you're fixing anything. Hence the Choro.
Got it. Wow. Also, I'm feeling the intenseness of it also, but I like it. Also,
I have lots of angst. Most of my music comes like laden with angst, so I think expect that.
I appreciate that. I mean, if there wasn't enough angst, I mean, then what is the point in living if we're not a little bit angsty?
This is true.
So this is the thing that I am interested in, because I realized that sort of in working to discover the independent music coming out of literally India's neighbors, I realized that there's such a commonality and also like huge difference, because I feel like the independent musician also ends up being the epitome of the struggling artist. And I don't know if that's something that you resonate with, or is that a thing, or is it really different in Pakistan? I don't know.
I mean, it definitely is different in Pakistan because of the fact that there is no real industry. So you don't have a single record label functioning out of Pakistan. You don't even have a T-Series equivalent situation happening here. You have a couple of corporate music shows that end up happening annually and kind of like churn out songs that are generally like what end up in the international market a bit. But there's no real way of making money as an independent artist at the very least. So now like digital YouTube monetization and things like that are helping, and now that gigs are restarting post-corona, things are happening. But the independent scene in Pakistan is something that you can't even like, you don't have radio stations that really look into getting you playability. You don't have the kind of resources to really like compare it with India's scene. But interestingly enough, like a lot of the independent artists coming out of India, their sonic and visual aesthetic plus the kind of stuff that they're writing about and the content with which they're coming out with, their sense of humor, the kind of self-deprecation, the angst is very much shared, I think, across the border. I think that there's a huge electronic scene in Pakistan as well that ends up, kind of liaising with the Indian electronic scene as well as your general like singer-songwriters, collabing with local Pakistani artists. And just like even for me, I have like a small following for my music, but like a lot of those are Indian fans, right? So like they're, people engaging and just being like, okay, this makes sense to us, especially with the Urdu songs as opposed to my English songs. So I think that and I think this goes for like a lot of the artists. You have so many. So like any major artist that is, breaking out into the independent scene in Pakistan right now, or even was 5 years ago, I think the biggest indicator for us, and especially for me, is like, okay, how many Indian fans do I have right now? Because it's also a bigger market to tap into, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of like active listeners who are used to listening to it. But I think, yeah, I think in terms of what the artist represents, it's very similar, although we're not competing with Bollywood in terms of like getting airtime and things like that. So it is independent in that there is the man that you need to like stick it to or compete with. Pakistan doesn't even get to have the man. We're just independent because there's nothing.
That's
So like, that's basically it.
it is. When we're talking about the difference between like having an existent or non-existent music industry in India, it's like it's either the the Bollywood or the film industry, and it's those sort of music that comes out of there, and that's where the cogs and the big machinery is, and the big marketing spends and the money, like all of that is there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the independent artists, it's like you're outside of that. And not that there aren't labels that exist here, but independent music is still so under the radar though. And again, last year, the entire event industry just like vanished off the face of the earth, right? And all overnight. And so I think the opportunity to be able to do gigs and tour with your music, even to do some living room stuff, all of that just like went away. And I think that was a huge, that was a huge hit for the independent industry. And I do feel bad about that because, there's nothing like going for a live gig, man.
Yeah.
Like it's just, there was, I think, a beautiful piece that like Dave Grohl wrote about like what it feels like to like, be sweating next to another dude singing a song. Like it's just that feeling just is like incomparable. And so, talking about gigs, the last time I spoke to Zahra, her and she was like, you have to come for Lahore Music Meet because you guys, have your own music festival. And I'm like, I want to come. When is it gonna happen next? Shaun and I will make plans.
I don't know. These are hard questions, but we will let you know in advance, like well in advance. You will sort out all the visa stuff. We will get that done. Yeah.
I wanna.
So
wanna
yeah,
because we were. No one thought that the world would turn upside down, right? And I think in this moment, you just like thinking about traveling just seems like a faraway dream.
Yeah.
And
even thinking about festivals just sounds like it's stressful. Like I don't want to be at a festival right now. It's so scary.
I can barely go outside for a walk. Like I'm just like, they're people, they're going to touch me.
Exactly. And the kind of like you mentioned, like the point of going to a festival or to gigs is to be able to connect with the people around you, not just the musician or the people on stage. So that we need to like reconstruct what a festival is and looks like and figure out how to like reset that. So I think the magical thing is that I think Zahra and I get together once a year and just create like a space where everyone just gets to hang out with each other and just be able to discover their new favorite act and new favorite band, and then you see their following growing and kind of seeing the projects that they get after that festival. And it's just 2 days of just hanging out from like noon to 10, listening to a lot of stuff, listening to master classes, and just people bring their kids and their families, grandparents are there. Like it's very wholesome. It's like super great. And you're just like soaking in the sun in like a Lahore winter moment. So it's great also because there's not many avenues for this in Pakistan anyway.
I'm coming. Like I swear to you, I think I'm waiting for the day if I can come to the Lahore Music Meet. If I should curate a section called Made in India, and then I'll just bring a pile of
that would be great
artists, and then we could do something amazing together. And
that's the fun bit about LMM is that like all these kooky, crazy ideas that anyone has, it's like, yeah, do it. It doesn't matter. Like it's fine. As long as it's a good idea and it will resonate with you and with other people, that's like one of the very few spaces that lets you do that. Because it's not like you don't need to make a brand happy. You don't need to make like the bosses happy because Zahra and I are the bosses and we're like we don't care. As long as you have something that really is important and makes sense for the industry, it's yours.
I love this because same with me, right? It's like my show, my rules, man. And so at the end of the day, I get to do what I want to do the way I want to do it. And yeah, and then whatever that you kind of envision, you want to just, how do I make this happen? And like anything, like sometimes I'm just in a whole other zone. Like last year, I think my team were like, we're slowly seeing Mae's mental degradation happen through the nomenclature of her mixtapes. Like at one point I called one of my mixtapes Bindi because I was like, Bindi is life. And so
that's great though. That's great. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we are with you. I'm happy to ride that wave of degradation with you. Like that's what's working for you.
Actually, talking about earlier, you were saying that you know, measuring success through Indian fans, which I think is hilarious. You have like a name for your fans, nashtas.
Oh yes.
I went to the website. Husein, my producer, sent me the website, and I'm like, girl, what's happening here? Talking about mental degradation, but continue.
No, that's great. So I have like my official boring, here is what my achievements are, natashanorani.com website. And then I have nashtas.com, which my friend Zirak and I worked on. And it's just basically lots of inside jokes. It's meant to look like the worst website in the world.
It looks like the best website in the world.
Exactly, right? That's why it's perfect, because it's like a early 2000s. You're sitting, you've like got your... Sorry, Desi problems, my life has gone.
So you know what? We are talking about my grand trip to Lahore. So if I am, okay, so eventually the day will arrive when I can come to Lahore and see you. Where would be the first place you take me when I come to Lahore?
Interesting. Oh, my light's back. So the first place I think I would take you would be to my house so we can have a feast cooked by my mom, because that is the standard way to do it. And then I would probably take you to a couple of studios here. So there are lots of like fancy studios too, and a couple of like, but I would take you to like the basement studios, you know, like the ones where all of the really like great musicians right now are kind of working on stuff. There's Rescue the Frog studio, which is, you know, these guys are working on a lot of really interesting like shows, like music series as well. So you've got like all of the major indie artists kind of being covered through their work. It's also like a studio where people are just coming and hanging out. It's run by Misbah, who also has his own music, which is great, and everyone should be listening to that. But like that's a nice little communal space to pop by. I would take you.
So hats off to your mom, because we're going to mom's place, and then we're going to a cool studio called Rescue the Frog. Yes. Just a great name.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Yes. And if you want to do the touristy things, we can do those too. But like, I would like, if you want to see like what's happening.
I mean, I'm hanging out with cool people. I only want to be doing cool stuff. So.
Love it. Love it.
Says underground. When you're talking about like underground studios, I'm just like a bunch of sweaty guys playing like prog or something. That's all I'm thinking of.
I mean, to be fair, that's how all of us started off. Like 10 years ago, I was also a sweaty guy playing prog. So like we've kind of evolved into softer beings now. We can also make you meet the sweaty prog guys if you want to. Always I mean, every place a treat to meet those guys. Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, like what's really interesting to me is like how much metal in Pakistan and India, and that kind of like overlap is amazing. So like Taka Tak, which is like our premier kind of like prog metal band, they have like such a massive Indian following, which is like amazing.
Like really massive. Like people are like genuinely flipping out over like Taka Tak. Oh my god, Taka Tak album is out, guys. Like it's monumentous. Yeah, it's like
I'm also that person going Taka Tak out album. Yes.
Also, I want to like be cool. So can you teach me like a slang or like a phrase that I can use that'll make me like, oh my god, she's a Lahore girl.
She's a Lahore girl. Okay, interesting. See, this is harder because I haven't socialized in a year.
So you're like,
I haven't spoken to
my
other
coolness
people.
is dated by over a year.
Yeah, I'm no longer hip, kids. It's not happening. But I mean, standard is seen on hai, which basically means it's lit.
Scene on hai. That would totally
Yeah.
work here too. God, this is so
Yeah.
like coming together.
It's like we come from the same place.
What a coincidence.
I mean,
Small world, really.
literally.
So I land in Lahore, and then I get out of the airport, and I'm like, scene on hai. And then
Yeah.
someone will come and pick me up. So no.
I will come and pick you up, but yes, everyone will look at you and like be like, okay, what's wrong with her? But you can say this to other people. It's totally fine.
They'll be like, she looks like she should be arrested.
Like, she looks too happy.
Yeah,
we don't like that.
Yeah, this is not on. And then also, I'm sure like they'll be like, who's this strange South Indian girl? It's very strange.
To be fair, no, I doubt they'll just be like, whatever. So, and also you can alternate that by saying kya scene hai,
Kya
which
scene?
is selfic. So that's how we say what's up.
Kya scene?
I don't know. I hope like people watching this are like, wow, how old is this person?
Could be.
But yeah, it would still apply.
I mean, I
Kya
feel like
scene hai
that would be something from like the late 90s, early 2000s. Kya scene hai?
I mean, no, this is like maybe 10 years ago, okay?
Oh,
it's
only?
not that bad. Yeah. Just like 10, maybe 15
I'm gonna
years
have
ago.
about like 400 nashtas coming after me now, no? Like, how
Do I
dare
have
you?
400 nashtas? If there are 400 nashtas, please go after me just so I know that I have 400 nashtas. This is the demand I have.
Dare you think that our queen is dated? It's only 10 years
if I
ago.
am, just let
20
me know.
years.
I'll fix it. I'll fix it.
Exactly. So, oh my God, I'm so excited. And, having your song Choro on Made in India as part of Our Neighbors is something that I really want people to discover. And, your new album, Ronaq, like, cannot wait to hear it. And yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you so much for having me and for featuring my music yet again. And I hope that like I will start sending you more tracks from the album and hope to chat soon and hope to see you in Lahore soon at dinner. We'll be waiting.
Tell your mom.
Yeah.
Tell her.
I'm just messaging her right after this.
Saying Mae is coming to the house. We don't know when. It should be this one.
Done.
Thanks so much, Natasha. Check out her song Choro on Our Neighbors 2021 episode on Made in India. The link is in the description. Also, like, subscribe, and follow and all that. And please go check out Made in India's YouTube channel to find more sessions.